It's always so startling when you switch Discord audio over to your fancy microphone because it's like you go from being like a tinny little voice in my ear to as though you were standing right behind me and about to strike.
I'm always about to strike, August.
I know.
Like a goddamn snake.
Snakes don't have arms.
Why would I need to strike with my arms? I got my mouth and my fingies, my little tooths.
Don't like that.
And thank you for tuning in to Gay Space Rocks, a Steven Universe watching podcast where we watch Steven Universe. I am your host. My name is Brian. I use he, him pronouns. You can find me on the internet, on Twitter, at RoomWarePod, and you can find the podcast on Twitter as well, at Gay Space Pod. With me, as always, is my co-host, August.
Hello, I'm August. You can find me on Twitter at Herpydora, and my pronouns are they, them.
So this week we have no guests. We'll probably not have guests for a hot minute. We've got some very important lore episodes coming up. So it's just going to be me and August, riding this shit into oblivion. Speaking of oblivion, fuck, it's been a week.
Whew. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna. This next section is from a parody script for a comedy that I am writing. But wouldn't it be great if a vast majority of a political party died? It says here on the script of a parody that I wrote.
Oh boy. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm planning on going to Yankee Candle and buying every black candle in the store, but I'm not saying I'm not saying that.
I love the, like, basic mall goth vibe of going to Yankee Candle to acquire your black candles for rituals.
They smell good. I don't have to add any essential oils. They all already stink nice.
Oh, it's been great to see the internet all come together around the idea of like willing something to happen as badly as they possibly can. So August, have you watched any cartoons lately?
My brain has completely quit. We've basically just been dealing with having a new puppy. I feel like we watched something recently, but I don't remember what it was, so it must not have left that much of an impression on me. Although, like, a bunch of the YouTube channels that we've been following have started, like, Halloween, October sort of stuff, so everything's all spooky. So that's fun.
Let's see. What have I been watching? I know I started watching something recently. I can't remember. I know I've been just, like, deep in the whole of YouTube stuff. There's a particular YouTuber that I like. Oh, who was I was going to give a shout out? Oh. I've been, have you ever seen a YouTube channel called Billiam?
That rings a bell. What is usually...
He reviews, like, weird early 2000s toys and nostalgia shit.
Oh, yeah. I think Crystal, enjoys his stuff.
He's pretty good. I like him. He just recently did a thing on... He did one on some weird dinosaur documentary thing that was very, very good. And recently he's been doing like this series on like LCD screen interactive pet things.
Oh my God.
So he did like Tamagotchis and Digimon, and he did scanners, and he did Cube World, and then the most recent one he did was called like Pixel Chick. And it was actually very interesting because, like, instead of it just being like a flat LCD screen, the LCD screen is like transparent and set in a little 3D stage, and she like moves around in the little stage and like can interact with the objects, air quotes. Yeah, it's very interesting. So I've been on that. Outside of that, just, you know, vibing. And by vibing, I mean drinking.
How about them sunbeams?
How about them? Like, we went to the fucking... listen, we went to the mountain. We didn't get to the top of the mountain, but we got at least to the mountain this last season, so...
Yeah.
So I'm feeling good about this season. How are we doing? I haven't actually checked the rankings.
We are in the middle of the Wild Low, which puts us... I mean, approximately in the middle of the pack in general, it looks like, so...
we're like 11 wins behind the Spies this season.
Yeah.
I don't think we're pulling this back. I don't know. It's only Wednesday. Who knows?
Yeah.
Did you see that the fucking pitching machine got shelled somehow?
Yeah, I saw that.
God damn.
The tacos cannot catch a break. Jesus.
They really cannot. Did any of their pitchers get unshelled?
I don't know.
They had to have, because there's no way they'd have a losing record at this point.
I mean, it is the tacos, but...
Yeah. Have you seen, shout out to Riley Hopkins, friend of the pod, friend of ours.
Yes.
Have you seen Riley's, like, daily hot takes on Blaseball? Like, with the Blaseball News Network?
What? No.
Yeah, they're on their Twitter. Check them out later. They're great.
Nice.
That's a cartoon I've been watching.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So I guess, unless there's not. Oh! This isn't Steven Universe news, but goddamn, am I excited for it! So just today, it got announced that HBO Max is going to greenlighting an animated series adaptation of Lumberjanes, Noelle Stevenson's comic book.
Yeah.
And I'm so fucking stoked for that because, like, okay, so Steven Universe had to work the gay in, okay? Even She-Ra, which is very gay, had to work the gay in, you know? You have to massage the gay into, like, most mainstream cartoons, right? But this is HBO Max putting, believably, a great deal of money into a series that was, from the jump, no, like, mask off, like, very fucking queer, and I'm very excited to see it.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited, even though I only ever read, like, the first volume of Lumberjanes. I recall it being very entertaining, so...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly how... I don't care if they stick to the comic book. I'm sure there's tons of stories they can tell that aren't the exact ones from the comic. But, like, knowing that that's the energy that's getting brought in... Because that's one of the reasons why I was, like, when kind of around season 4 of She-Ra, people were talking about how it was going to end up being queer baiting. And I'm like, have you seen this director's other work? Like, because I have some news for you.
Yeah.
Now, given it could have been studio interference, there was other things that would happen, but I wasn't going to think that Noelle Stevenson was going to willfully queer bait her audience.
Yeah.
So
I
wish Rebecca Sugar would get into a new series, frankly. I would love... Oh, sorry.
In quasi-similar news, evidently Netflix is picking up season 2 of Bee and Puppycat.
Sweet. That first season is interesting. Isn't the second season on Verve already?
I don't know. Like, the blurb I saw seemed to indicate that, like, Netflix was optioning more whatever was going on.
So maybe they're picking up season 2 and then they're like funding season 3 or something.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to go back and dig deeper, but I did just see that casually either yesterday or today, so...
Yeah. That is a very interesting show that I would like to see how they get to, like, they evolve into something that would be more serialized. So, because they were kind of episodic, and then it obviously was like hinting at a bigger backstory. There's also some new show on Sci-Fi called like Magical Girl something another. Sci-Fi Magical Girl. Okay. Yeah, Magical Girl Friendship Squad. It seems interesting. All I know is that the person who did the logo for season 1 of The Room Where It Happened worked on background art for it, apparently.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, which is probably why they weren't available to do the art for season 2.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Okay, well, I guess is there anything? Should we get into the episodes?
Yeah, let's get into the episodes.
Cool. All right, so our episodes for this week are episodes 22, Steven and the Stevens, 23, Monster Buddies, and 24, An Indirect Kiss. Let's get kicked off with Steven and the Stevens. Steven needs a musical partner for an upcoming show and uses a time travel device to recruit the perfect bandmate, himself. Which, you know what? That's pretty there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's it. That's the show.
That's the show. Yeah. Nailed it. Got in one. The episodes will begin with the Jims and Steven in the the sea shrine, looking at the hourglass, or looking for the, God, geez, I cannot read today. I'm going to start over. The beginning... The episode begins with the Jims and Steven in the sea shrine looking for the hourglass. Steven picks out a smaller hourglass that he's very enamored with. Pearl tells him that the actual hourglass wouldn't be so small and insignificant. It'd be super big and kick ass. And she looks at this cool one. Garnet's like, nah, it's gonna be the biggest one. And looks at this big chungus of a fucking hourglass. Pearl is wondering how they're going to get it out of there when Amethyst is like, I'm making the call, and grabs like a weird shaped hourglass. The whole temple just starts coming the fuck apart. It begins flooding because they're under the ocean. Steven runs back to grab the tiny one that he wanted. Mostly because Amethyst is taking hers. He snatches it, gets pulled back to the pad just in time for the gems to teleport into the temple. They are all very soaking wet. Pearl admonishes Amethyst about being so impulsive, is informed that she has a lobster on her butt. Steven realizes that it's time to practice for Beachapalooza and runs out of the house before politely letting a crab out. And goes to the car wash where Greg and Yellowfin, Onion's dad, are looking at a boat that is like stuck in the car wash. And Steven's like, what's up? And he's like, the boat's stuck. He's like, why does the boat need to be car washed? No one ever addresses this question. Greg is like, I can't help you practice for Beachapalooza, my dude. It is... I'm sorry, I've got to get this taken care of. Steven is disappointed, but heads off. He's very upset about the boat. And he says out loud, I wish that I could tell Dad to not deal with that stupid boat. And then he time travels to just before Yellowtail is about to back his boat in. He runs up telling Greg that the boat is, quote, too fat to fit into the car wash. Greg stops it and he's like, oh, thanks, Steven. Yellowtail gets out of his truck, I guess forgets to put his truck in park for some fucking reason. The boat and the truck roll forward, hitting an electric post that knocks over the electric lines that fall into the car wash and burn the fucking car wash to the goddamn ground. Steven quickly goes back in time to stop himself from stopping Greg, explains the situation. Steven 1 laments to Steven 2 that they're not going to be able to do Beachapalooza, and Steven 2 is like, Steven 1, fuck, this has got confusing way quicker than I intended it to be. I didn't write down any denotation of the Stevens. Anyways, the eldest of the Stevens is like, hey, we could start a band together, but who are we going to get to play the other instruments? The answer is time travel, and they get more Stevens. Hard cut to Steven, and Steven, all playing an original song called Steven and the Stevens, and a band called Steven and the Stevens. It's like a 50s rock vibe. Could be at the beginning of a Hanna-Barbera cartoon, probably, where Steven talks about forming a band with himself. It goes really well. They determine that the band leader should be the original Steven, which is what we will refer to as Steven 1. Steven 1 then labels the Stevens Steven 2, 3, and 4. And states that Steven 2 is the smart one, 3 is the funny one, 4 is the sensitive one, and Steven 1 declares himself the handsome one while combing his hair into a pompadour. Then things just immediately go to shit. Steven 4 is trying to be funny, and Steven 3 is trying to be smart. Steven 2 is trying to be sensitive. Steven 1 calls himself handsome, and he upsets the other Stevens because they think that he's calling them ugly or not handsome. And Steven 1 gets very frustrated. He's like, all right, let's take 5, guys. He goes out and he laments to a seagull, I believe, or is it lion? It's lion, not a seagull. About how annoying he finds himself, and then he hears some like punk music coming from the inside. He's like, hey, what is this garbage? And they're like, we kicked you out of the band, old man. You don't understand the rock that's in our heart. We wrote this song about you suck. And Amethyst is now playing the drums because she's down for whatever. Steven 1 uses the time machine to go back in time to try and stop himself from forming the band, but the other Stevens also have a time thingy. Time hopping hijinks ensue. They jump back to the very first episode of Steven Universe, and then they go to the Sea Temple to try and stop himself from picking up the time thingy. Steven 1 threatens original Steven. The other 3 Stevens show up. It's a big fucking fight. There's probably like 30 fucking Stevens. They're all basically fist fighting each other. Steven 1 pushes Steven original down, scares him because he's acting so maniacal, realizes, what have I become? Power has corrupted me ultimately, and then smashes the hourglass, which destroys all of the alternate timeline Stevens, who all melt into sand. And then after basically Steven 1 says to original Steven, stay gold, pony boy, he melts too. We hard cut to Steven and the Crystal Gems singing a song about watching yourself die after creating an alternate timeline. The end.
Yeah.
Holy fuck this episode.
That sure...
Holy shit.
That sure was an episode.
It was such an episode. For one, I want to say up top, these are like 3 banger fucking episodes, I feel like.
They're really good.
Yeah, these are like, you can feel the team is like, I feel like you can feel the team hitting their stride about how they want to tell stories and pacing and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the cold open to this episode with everybody in the Sea Temple, because I feel like everyone's personalities get demonstrated really well. There's lots of chemistry. They're bouncing off of each other really good. I just feel like the whole opening sequence is really, really good here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was getting some really heavy Last Crusade vibes, which then proved to be right.
It's true.
Also, the background art for the temple is fucking gorgeous.
It is. Ugh. The detail that they put into backgrounds is just fucking amazing. I love this good sweet boy who's like, you're coming home with me, new friend. The hourglass. I wonder, the hourglass is a piece of technology, not like a gem, I think, right?
I mean, I would assume so.
Okay. Yeah, because it doesn't seem... Because, like, if a gym had this level of power, one of these sides would have won that war in about 4 seconds.
Yeah.
So.
I suspect strongly it's a piece of technology the same way that, like, the desert glass was a piece of technology.
I think the desert glass, I think, was just a corrupted gem.
Was it?
I'm pretty sure.
Huh. Okay. Never mind then.
But I think in the next episode, like the shooting star, I think that's just a piece of stuff. That's like a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Not like a thing, not a person.
Yeah, and I thought it was fairly on brand for Amethyst to choose the really wonky looking one and for Steven to choose the little guy.
It's true. And Amethyst just being like, I'm making the call. It's like, yes, good.
Amethyst,
we're just getting into it.
She has literally zero impulse control.
None. Absolutely none. I liked that. I wrote in here as like a shout out to all the FTL fans. Steven's so polite to Daddy Crab.
Oh my god. Oh jeez. Yeah, I did note that that little bit was incredibly fucking adorable. It's just the general way that Steven treats other things is just very cute and very indicative of his worldview about how, like, everything and everyone is deserving of compassion and kindness.
Right. Like, he is, unless something, like, if he is just in his normal state, if, nothing, because occasionally he gets upset or frustrated, obviously. Yeah. Like, he's in a lot of extreme circumstances, but like in his just normal state, he's just like he's a good kid who is just like, who's not being polite because people have told him to be polite or that's how he's supposed to be. He just like is. He just is good.
Yeah.
And a nice kid. I want good things to happen to him, and I know nothing will.
Yeah.
I need to look up to see if Yellowtail is literally the same voice actor as Onion.
Onion gets a voice actor?
Oh yeah, Onion speaks me-me-me's like Yellowtail does.
Oh. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if we've heard Onion talk yet.
I feel like maybe he did when in Onion Trade when he like was throwing the sandwich out to sea and then Yellowtail came back for 2 seconds.
Oh yeah, maybe they like me at each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it weird that Steven just keeps calling the boat fat?
Okay, so I did write something down about that too. I do think it's charming, and I think that it goes kind of back to something that we've seen Steven do before, like even just this episode with the crab. He tends to personify things and, attribute like human or humanoid characteristics to things that aren't necessarily humanoid. Really, he does that with Lion, even though I'm of the opinion that Lion is certainly a sentient creature. But, Steven personifies him quite a bit. Mm-hmm. He treated the crab as if the crab were a house guest. He talked sweetly to the, I'm going to call it a time turner because it looks like a fucking time turner.
I keep trying to call it a time turner too, so don't worry.
Yeah. Like, he talks sweetly to the time turner when he picks it up. That kind of thing. Like, Steven has a history of doing that, and, like, yeah, it's a little weird, but I think it stems from his tendency to just personify things.
I think that's a good point. When he does the first time jump and he runs up to Greg and is like, fat, right?
Yeah.
Is that a reference? I feel like this is a reference to the Producers scene.
I've never seen the Producers.
So Bialystok, when Bloom and Bialystok are like arguing in their very first scene, there's a scene where Bloom like does a similar thing, and I think this might be a slight reference to that. I could just be wrong. I might be just reaching real hard here.
I don't know. I don't even know who those characters are. I presume one of them's played by Matthew Broderick in the movie?
Bloom is Matthew Broderick. Bialystok is the other guy.
Okay.
Yeah. My next note after that immediately is Butterfly Effect, the animated series.
Oh my god. I hate that you're not wrong.
But yeah, the like Steven talking to Steven, like this part is just where they're like, we're just gonna break the dial off on the wacky knob. Like, it's really good and seemingly has like a firm understanding of its own dumb time travel rules.
Mm-hmm.
J.K. Rowling. So, it's pretty, like, I like it. I just, from here, like, the little band, like, the song is very cute and catchy.
Yes. Yes, it is.
I feel like this is just, this was, like, an excuse to just, like, let Zach go wild in the booth.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, he does all those he does a really good job on just, like, that song and being his own backup singers.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wrote, this song is a bop.
Yeah. Bop worthy, for sure. Go on, sorry.
I really enjoy Steven's self-confidence and his good body image, especially for a character who is consistently portrayed as a little husky. Like, you know, never once does he seem to ever have body image issues. And honestly, the part where he's going fat, fat, fat at Greg, and Greg goes rude, is literally the first thing that I can remember encountering in this series that could come even close to, like, internalized fat phobia, because being fat is just a non-value judgment. And so Greg saying that it's rude to say that, you know, is the only thing that indicates that fat phobia exists in this universe so far.
Right. And decidedly feels like, I like that it feels like it's just a joke. We all know it's a joke, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that was nice that it wasn't like an intrinsic thing.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't have many more notes until the very end.
Yeah.
So
Ashlyn, by the way, informed me, shout out to Ashlyn. So Steven is right now 13. I got my numbers all fucking wrong. So Steven was 12 in so many birthdays, turns 13, and in his next birthday episode will be turning 14. So I was wrong. Thank you for correcting me, Ashlyn. I don't think it doesn't change much of our reading, to be perfectly honest. But, I do appreciate Ashlyn helping me fact check things. Let's see. I like seeing this kind of weird spiral of, like, Steven dealing with himself. Like, it's setting him up. Like, it starts, like, you're like, wow, Steven's getting real. Like, Steven, you kind of forget that Steven's not like this, because the episode is, like, engaging in the way that it's trying to tell this pretty frenetic story, until, like, Steven 1 interacts with original timeline Steven. You're like, oh my god, what happened to this kid? And I feel like it's the time travel is corrupting Steven.
Yeah, but I did think it was this kind of comes in two parts. I think that, like, from a storytelling standpoint, this particular thing was meant to show us that Steven does have the capacity for being mean, like, genuinely mean. And, like, he's not just, as much as he is the perfect good boy, he's not just the perfect good boy.
Right.
But also, I think, like, I feel like in universe, it's kind of indicative about how, like, we keep coming back to Steven has a pretty good understanding and emotional awareness of people around him, but has consistently not been able to do that with himself. And so when he's stuck in an echo chamber with just himself, it kind of makes sense that things would fall apart pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's something I kind of thought of. But yeah, it definitely feels sort of like that Steven, what Steven's like when he's alone with himself, you know, is a much different Steven than the Steven he tries to be for everybody else. I like the punk song. It's got like a good 80s New England hardcore vibe to it. Did you catch the lyrics?
Yeah.
Steven is a meanie zucchini.
Yes. It's very good.
It's real good. So now we come to the final fight. Just wackadoo shit. I love it.
Oh my god.
I wrote here, Rick and Morty is a fucking Steven Universe ripoff.
Oh man. Oh man. Yeah.
We gotta get to the time machine, or Steven.
Oh my god.
I can not do a good Rick impression.
No, it's fine. Nobody should.
It's true. I like, it's just like good. There's not like a lot of things to take notes about, other than just like recounting what happens, but like it's good character interaction. Like Steven, coming to the realization that he's really fucked up. Like, what is this? I don't want to be like coming to the realization, like, I don't want to be this. I don't want to be a mean, shitty person. And the only way to do that is to unmake myself.
Yeah. Yeah, my next note is in all caps, Jesus Christ, this is horrifying. Because it is.
Yeah, just all these Stevens graphically melting. This is like fucking Third Impact motherfucking shit going on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's horrifying not just from the perspective of Stephen Prime, who is having to watch bunches and bunches of himself like wither and dissolve and melt away into dust, but also you know that this is a conscious decision that Stephen made, knowing that something like this was bound to happen.
Right.
Like,
fuck.
Jesus.
It's so much. It's so goddamn much. Steven, kissing original Steven on the cheek, being like, "Stay gold, pony boy."
Yeah.
Dissolving into dust. Like, oh my god.
Oh my god.
Then a hard cut to the little song that is also horrifying.
My next note was, Jesus Christ, this song is horrifying, in all caps.
I couldn't stop, like, when I forgot, like, I knew what the song was about, right? But I hadn't really listened to the song very recently, and then I heard it last night when I, like, because I watch every episode, I watch them twice, once just kind of go through, and then once with notes, and when I watched it the first time last night, I just fucking died. I had to pause the HBO Max. It was just, like, I was cackling because, like, my brain couldn't process how fucked up the thing I just watched was.
Yeah, it was a lot. Although, like, the visuals, kind of harken back to the whole Hanna-Barbera cartoon kind of thing, with the musical montage. I'm thinking specifically of like Josie and the Pussycats kind of thing.
Yeah,
but
or Jabberjaw.
I never really got into Jabberjaw.
Is that a big shark?
You would think I would have loved it because it's a big shark, but no, it just completely passed me by. I don't know how that happened. And my final note, also in all caps, is Sadie, stop being into Lars with 5 exclamation points and an angry frowny face.
Just stop. Actually, in 2 weeks, you're going to have a real bad time.
She deserves better.
She does deserve better. In 2 weeks, she will start seeing how much better things that she needs.
Good.
So don't worry. Or not 2 weeks, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, my notes were just like, from the big fight all the way through the song, holy fuck. Just the how the fuck did the end of this episode get made?
I don't.
What was the original pitch? Like, what did they pitch that was worse than this so they could pitch this and get this through?
Oh,
God. I mean, it's great. I loved it. But holy shit. There's our horrifying episode for the fucking week, I guess.
It's so much. I would hazard that Monster Buddies is also kind of horrifying. But before we move into it, Shannon in the Discord did have a question for us about Steven and the Stevens. So much of Steven Universe is about Steven getting let down by the adults in his life. Does Steven and the Stevens resonate with lonely kids and their imaginary friends? If you had an imaginary friend, this is the episode, or is this episode just extra horrifying for you?
I don't know. I had a brother.
I don't really see... I don't relate my experience with imaginary friends to Steven's experience with the Stevens, because my imaginary friends were always very distinct from myself, because I did not care for myself growing up at all. I did not want to spend time with myself. So...
Yeah, I don't feel as though the extra Stevens are being positioned as imaginary friends in that sort of way. They're not there as a support system. They're there as like a literal reflection of Steven, giving Steven, like, immersing Steven in himself and forcing him to deal with exclusively himself, which, on the surface is like, oh yeah, I would love to do things with myself, until you realize, oh shit, I have to be with myself the whole time, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like it's like you were saying, like, I feel like it's a chance at to explore more of the internality of Steven and his mindset and how he feels about himself and how he views himself, which I feel is kind of like the sort of mini arc of these 3 episodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that.
But it did have some like single kid vibes, it seemed like.
Oh yeah, absolutely. As the show's resident singleton, yeah, it definitely does have some only child vibes.
Mm-hmm.
But like, at the very least, I myself cannot relate in that sort of experience.
Right. Okay. Cool. All right. Anything else about Steven and the Stevens?
Wow, that shit was fucked up.
Yeah.
Rebecca?
One last holy fuck. Rebecca, you okay?
Rebecca?
Yeah. Rebecca, this is me from 6 years in the future. You good? Bruh?
Yeah. I
Okay.
think I'm good. Let's move on.
Yeah, let's erase that from our memory with episode 23, Monster Buddies. The official synopsis: Steven accidentally releases a monster from a gem bubble and attempts to tame its wild, violent instincts. That's pretty okay, fair enough.
Yeah, that did happen.
Yeah. Steven and the gems are first shown fighting a big ice monster inside of an ice lair. Apparently it's a Larimar. That's Larimar? Inside of a snowy mountain, they're looking for a thing called the Shooting Star. Garnet punches the Larimar against the wall, causing the ice and the cave to start crumbling. As rocks begin to fall on Amethyst, Garnet grabs Steven, telling him that she's going to send him back to the temple. Steven is like, how are you going to do that? And then she bubbles Steven and warps him back to the temple. Pearl's really upset about this. And Steven appears in the temple next to Larimar inside of a bubble. He breaks himself out, but in the process of breaking himself out, he pops the bubble surrounding Centipedal from all the way back in the first episode of the show. As Centipedal reforms, it's a pretty fucking sweet reforming sequence. Steven is scared initially, but then when Centipedal fully reforms, she's very tiny. She's like the size of a dog. And Steven immediately goes into trying to make friends mode. He gets down there. He kind of convinces her to come close right as the gym show up, and they're immediately fucking like full on aggro at it. And Steven's like, hey, leave her the fuck alone. Gets between her and Garnet, tells Garnet to like give him a chance to try and tame her. And Garnet's like, oh, all right, you're too fucking cute, kid. So Pearl is like, well, if we're going to do this, we're going to take some precautions, and immediately chains the fucking dog to a rock outside. Steven tries to begin to tame it, but the gyms are full on edge, which is causing Centipedal to be all full on edge. Steven's like, go back inside the house. Once they're inside, he lets Centipedal go, and they kind of start bonding. Steven discovers that Centipedal loves chips named Chaps, with many A's. So they start having some fun around that. Steven is throwing some chaps around when a seagull comes down, gets a fucking chip, and bites his finger. Steven gets into a fight with a seagull, and immediately Centipedal's like, nah, bitch, that's my human. And goes to fight a fucking seagull for Steven. Steven's enamored by Centipedal trying to protect him. He brings Centipedal back inside, showing the gems that he's tamed her by making seagull noises and making Centipedal spit acid. Pearl is like, we can't go look for the shooting star now. We've got to deal with Steven and this thing. And Garnet's like, no, we can use Centipedal to help us, basically. So they take Centipedal to the mountain temple, or the mountain pass, the mountain cave, something. The big mountain where they were at the beginning of the episode. And Centipedal basically cuts a path through all of the unstable rocks by melting them away, as opposed to trying to break them, which would cause the temple to destabilize. Finally, they make their way to the center of the mountain where the shooting star is sitting. It's in a pool of water. Apparently, it's super, super hot. You cannot touch it with your bare skin. Garnet goes to pick it up with her gauntlets, but having her gauntlets out scares Centipedal. Centipedal gets real worked up because the gems are starting to get worked up. Centipedal shoots acid everywhere, destabilizes the roof. Starts to cause a cave-in. The gems are like, we fucking knew this would happen. Specifically, Pearl says this. And she goes, and they start beating up Centipedal. Steven gets really, really upset. Centipedal sort of gets the upper hand in the fight, and Steven steps between them, saying, like, no, you're not a monster. You're, like, you're better than this. I love you, Centipedal. And he, like, hugs her until she calms down. But it's too late. The roof is destabilized. A giant stalagmite?
Stalactite, because you can tell because... Well, no, the way I learned was stalactites have a C in them, and they come from the ceiling, and stalagmites grow up from the ground because they have a G in them.
Okay, that's good. So stalactite falls off the ceiling. Centipedal pushes Steven out of the way, takes the hit for him. Get down, Mr. President. She poofs. Steven cries, and Garnet's like, listen, your mom would be really proud of you because she tried to do the same thing, but even her powers weren't able to heal her. But you're, and Pearl kind of chimes in, but you're different. Maybe you can find a way. And then Steven forms a bubble around Centipedal and sends her back to the temple, and then also sends some chaps for her. Double star wipe, the end.
Let me check something.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3 times I have something about how Steven is a good boy in this episode.
My very first note is this caring boy in regards to like Nephrite having her arm fall off.
Yeah. My first note was about the background art again.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's so fucking good. But my second note is about how Steven caring about the arm falling off is very adorable and very on brand because he is a good boy.
Steven Universe Best Boy. Best Boy Award to Steven Universe.
Yes.
The whole cave-in sequence is pretty solid. I do wonder why Pearl gets so upset when Garnet bubbles Steven. Like, does she not want him to go back to where all the other bubbles are? Is she afraid of what the bubbling process will do to him? Like, I don't know. She seems like really upset about the whole thing.
My read was the second one, like, because he's half human, there's no telling what the bubbling process would do to him.
Mm-hmm.
So, because God only knows what happens in, like, the weird dimensional hyperspace that the bubbles travel through that could harm a poor human's genetic code. So
that's true. Very true. I feel like there's so much good fucking foreshadowing right here, because we're coming up to like having the big reveal about what's going on with the corrupted gems and everything, or the fact that the gems are in fact corrupted gems. All of the monsters are, and like Centipedal's like fucking transformation sequence is just fucking dope as fuck.
It's very good.
I love how it like hints at it, like with her like initially turning into like more of a like, you know, a humanoid shape, and then growing real big, and then getting tiny and small. It's real good. Fucking.
It's very good.
That's how you do like some subtle foreshadowing there, people.
Yes.
Cuteness rating of Centipedal.
Oh my gosh, it's so cute. I fucking love little baby Centipedal. She's so adorable. Oh my gosh, I want one.
They did such a good job of just making that Centipedal as cute as fuck. Like, she's got all kinds of neat little like tiny gestures that they animate in there too that are really good, that make her very endearing. I
love the focus on like her hair, puffing up.
Like it's really good. The gyms are super fucking aggro when they come back. They just immediately mask off. Let's kill this thing.
Yeah. And I mean, I think in some ways this just, I feel like it's meant to sharply delineate their worldview from Steven's, because Steven's worldview is clearly like everything is friend-shaped if you give it long enough. Whereas especially knowing that these monsters are corrupted gems, like these are enemies, period. But Steven doesn't have that kind of like steeped in sort of prejudice against Centipedal. He just sees a cute little Centipedal and is just like, "Oh, hey, buddy."
Right, exactly. Like he's be with every stray cat.
Yeah. And it's just
lay
like,
down on the ground. Come here.
Yeah, and it's just nice that that's his first instinct. It's great that his first response isn't necessarily violence compared to the fact that Garnet's especially is violence. Like, we see Garnet time and again, like, be frustrated when the correct answer is not violence, and B, kind of default to it.
Right, like, because, like, Garnet and Pearl in specific are, like, you know, they're, like, we forget, but they're, like, they were soldiers, you know? Like, they fought a fucking war here, and deep down, we know that they know that these were also old gems. Some of them were bad guys. Some of them weren't bad guys. Some of them were their friends. And, you know, that's got to be a fucked up thing to have to deal with for thousands of goddamn years.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah. And it makes sense that, like, their first instinct would just be, like, fight, because it's all they've known how to do for a long-ass time.
Yeah. I do also appreciate the fact that Steven kind of instinctively understands that Centipedal is going to react with violence if she is shown violence. Like, you know, it kind of goes back to the concept of, like, you know, if somebody pulls a weapon, like, that just escalates a situation that might not otherwise necessarily escalate into violence. Like, Steven understands that on a sort of instinctive level, and, you know, him being able to bring things back down from that is just a really great thing to demonstrate to kids and, like, show, like, de-escalation is possible, and, like, it's just nice. It's good stuff.
Yeah, like
adults could learn that too.
Yeah, de-escalation is an interesting skill that Steven has, that it comes up time and time and again. And back to the bad take machine that is Twitter. I've stayed off of the hashtag for the last 2 weeks, so good. I'm nice and clean. Like, that's what people always talk about. It's like, you know, because, like, in game, Steven, I feel like from the very beginning, they're telling you, like, this isn't a show that's going to end in a big climactic battle between the good guy and the bad guy. That's just not how this show's going to end. Like, they're not going to fist fight until, you know, this isn't fucking Dragon Ball Z. This isn't Sailor Moon, you know? Like, they're telegraphing from the very start, like, Steven's going to talk his way out. He's going to de-escalate. He's going to talk his way out of a situation. He's going to find the common ground. He's going to talk to people. Like, it's a show that's very dedicated to the idea of not a punitive idea of like, right and wrong. Like, obviously it has an idea of right and wrong. And what's presenting is, like, a primarily non-violent solution is what you should be working for. Like, obviously they never admonish the gems for, like, trying to fight the big monsters, or when they get into a fight or they're attacked, it's never like, no, we can't defend ourselves. They're not like fucking back half of goddamn Gundam wing dumb ideas about pacifism, you know? But, like, it decidedly builds an idea of, like, de-escalating, talking to people, finding common grounds, finding different ways to resolve situations that aren't just violence.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I think that's something that also differentiates it from, like, you can see so much of Utena in this show's DNA, but at the end of the day, like, Utena was very cynical because the main character tried to reach out to the force that ultimately was causing all of the problems, and that force basically ignored her, and so she just had to cut her losses and leave, essentially.
Right.
At least that's my read on the ending as far as, like, what happens to Utena.
Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty good end. It's fairly ambiguous, but I feel like that's a pretty good read on what happens there. Yeah.
And so that's definitely not something that Utena does. And admittedly, Utena has a somewhat different target audience.
Yeah.
And, like, some of the messaging is quite a bit different. But just because it's such a huge part of what makes up Steven Universe's, like, cultural touchstones, you know, it's worth bringing that up in the ways that Steven Universe just, like, completely diverges from that.
Right. Like, it's like they saw the kind of, like, took the ground, like, the framework of how to tell one of these, like, kind of, like, magical girl shoujo sort of, like, action shows. And, like, took that framework that Utena set of doing it, like, in a high-minded way, of deconstructing ideas and tropes, and then was, like, at the end, like, well, what if we just went, or as earnest as we possibly can at the ideas of, like, these sorts of things, like, you know, moving away from different, like, what we would classically define as, like, the good guy, bad guy structures. Let's move as full away as that from as we possibly can. Do you think they named chaps, they put the word chaps on the chips after Zach did this read of the lines?
Absolutely. Just because, like, so, like, in anime, you tend to have the animation done first, and then you read the lines to dub to the animation. Whereas with American animation, it's typically the reverse. So yeah, I think
technically, I think anime is the same, but, like, when we're talking about, like, dubbing into different language, I'm pretty sure you still, like, they do the same process. They don't. Oh,
at least not in, like, the mid to late 90s. They didn't. Like, things may have changed, but back when I was, like, a complete and total weeaboo, no, they would do the animation first and then dub the lines over to it.
Oh, interesting. I didn't realize that.
Yep. That's one of the reasons why there's, aside from, like, cost-saving reasons, that's one of the other reasons why mouth movement is so limited in anime, because, like, the lines haven't been recorded yet, so they just kind of, like, vaguely gesture at the sort of movement the mouth should be making, but it's up to the actors to make it make sense.
Interesting.
Much the way that dub actors have to as well, but yeah.
Nice. the entire little air quotes training sequence for Centipedal
Yeah.
training.
Oh my goodness.
Centipedal is roughly as well trained as Lion is.
Yeah.
It's really good though. I like the seagull fight. Like, yo, fuck this seagull. That it definitely has the energy of your dog trying to fight a seagull. The introducing Centipedal's powers to the team. The little joke of like the pearl picture getting madder as it melts was great.
Yes. Oh man.
Also,
There's some good visual gags in this episode.
Yeah. Also, where did Amethyst learn Spanish?
Where did she become a lucha wrestler? Like, maybe she learned Spanish from watching, like, actual lucha wrestling.
It's true. She's got some fucking Chavo Guerrero fucking tape trader tapes. She called Dave
God.
Meltzer. Dave, hit me up.
Jesus. Also, much like Centipedal, I am also motivated by chips.
See, I'm not a big chip person. I don't eat a whole lot of chips.
Oh, dude, Costco has these gigantic bags of, like, this cheese medley that's, like, Sun Chips, Doritos, Cheetos, and for some random unknown reason, pretzels. They're really good.
The only, like, sometimes I'll eat some barbecue chips. I'll get me a good barbecue chip occasionally. Though I do like crackers. Like, somebody on the break room table, there was, like, a box of Cheez-Its. White cheddar Cheez-Its sitting on the box at the table at work today, and I'm like, I found somebody. I'm like, hey, what's with the food that's not, because I haven't been working that there. I've been there for a while, but not for a long time. I'm like, hey, what's with the food that's on the break table? Is it like up for grabs? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, cool. I'm about to go mess up a whole box of Cheez-Its, and then I proceeded to mess up a whole box of white cheddar Cheez-Its.
Oh, white cheddar Cheez-Its are so good.
And I've actually not had the white cheddar ones till today, and I didn't realize they tasted basically exactly like white cheddar popcorn, except they're Cheez-Its, which makes them infinitely better, because I'm not a huge fan of popcorn either.
What?
So.
It's just Cheez-Its. Cheez-Its are heftier, so they feel better.
Yeah.
Like, popcorn is popcorn. It's mostly air.
Mm-hmm. Like, I like having it sort of at the movie theater just because I want to consume salt and sugar at the movie theater. I need that.
Yeah.
But it could be a bag full of, like, just packing peanuts covered in butter salt, and I'd probably still just eat it at the same veracity.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess moving on back to the episode. I like the montage of, like, Centipedal going through this mountain. It gave me a lot of, like, interesting vibes of, like, the Moon Goddess Temple.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, but evolved where, like, Steven's now more part of the team. The gyms aren't really, like, they're not discouraging him, but they're not trying to, like, build him up as much because, like, they know he can handle his shit, and also Pearl's kind of mad about the whole situation. But I think it's all good. I love the weird, like, Pearl being very interested in the idea of it melting flesh. The shooting star, I mean. So that's fun.
I loved the gag where Garnet is almost too thick to pass through the tunnel at the end. Like, that was just, I loved it.
It was real good. So when Centipedal starts having, like, her sort of, like, panic attack looking thing, I really liked this because the gyms don't do anything to Centipedal that we haven't seen them do to other monsters previously, and just feels so much more visceral, and I think it's doing a good job of trying to, like, get us to recontextualize what the gym fight, like, what the fights with the monsters are and what they kind of mean, or what they're going to mean moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it was heartbreaking. And I think part of the reason why it was so heartbreaking is because you had the added level of Steven basically losing his shit trying to, like, defend Centipedal. And you're right, it does kind of, like, recontextualize everything, because this could have been any one of the monsters that they've fought up until this point.
Yeah, it could have been literally any one of them. Like, Centipedal's not any different from, like, the sand monster or pufferfish or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, like, really fucking just real goddamn rough. Steven just, like, hugging Centipedal till she calms down while his whole back is burned with fucking acid. It's like, the good boy is here. He's the best boy. His superpower is he's the best.
Yeah. His superpower is very good hugs.
It's true. I love when Centipedal pushes him, it's all slow-mo, and then, like, Garnet just kind of casually catches it.
Yeah. Although I was too emotionally distraught over Centipedal in general to really enjoy that moment. I think I wrote in all caps Centipedal no, and I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 O's.
Sick.
And then my last note for the episode was in all caps, the chips and a sobbing emoji.
That's basically the vibe.
Yeah.
Man, I wish you could make emojis episode titles.
Oh my god.
That would be the episode title if I could put the sobbing emoji in there.
Yeah.
Man, good episode. I feel like it sets
good.
I feel like it sets the stage for a lot of shit that's going to be coming in the next 3 episodes that we recover. Or particularly the next 2, because technically we're going to be covering 3 episodes. We're going to be covering, like, Mirror Gym, Ocean Gym, and House Guest, just because they all kind of run into each other. But technically House Guest is the beginning, or is the first episode of the second half of season 1. They're delineated on the Wikipedia for some reason, but they tell a contiguous story, so we're just going to cover all 3.
Okay.
But it's good. It's so fucking good. It just, like, it delves into the lore. You get a really good understanding of Steven. It helps foreshadow some things that Steven's going to do in those other episodes, like his attitude and why he does those things. It's just, these are 3 banger fucking episodes for real.
They're really good.
Yeah. Like, we haven't hit any bad episodes, but these, like, you can really feel them finding that fucking storytelling groove right here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I don't feel like there's, like, an ounce of waste in this episode either.
No. I don't feel like there was in Steven and the Stevens either. Like, they're really making, like, they've been pretty good at, like, making an 11-minute, like, packing a lot of stuff into an 11-minute episode, and they're just getting better at that.
Yeah.
Because you could have told me Monster Buddies was, like, a 20-minute episode, and I've been like, yeah, there's 20 minutes worth of content in here.
Yeah.
Because it does.
Exactly.
They never feel short or like they're running up against. Like, they pack a lot in there without it feeling very, very rushed or hurried. It's like their ability to do that is very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else about Monster Buddies?
Yes. Shannon also had a question about Monster Buddies.
Oh, she did, didn't she? Yes.
Yep. You should read this one.
Give me where are our podcasts at? Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. There is so much about a kid bringing home a pet and not being able to sell it to their parent or to the adults in their life. Is this show just legit normal kid things, but with the veneer of space horror magic? This does have, like, the idea of, like, look at this dog I found.
Yeah.
So, fun fact, I had this one dog named Bitsy. Was a stray dog. Stray dog, found it at school one morning when I was in middle school. Dog was there when we showed up. And I'm like, look at this cute fucking dog to my mom. And I'm like, we should take this dog home because I acquire strays pretty regularly. And my mom's like, listen, we can't take the dog home. I've got to go to work. If the dog's still here at the end of the school day, we'll take the dog home. You know, assuming the stray dog's going to run off by the end of the school day. Well, it didn't. It fucking didn't. So now it was my dog. And my mom's like, well, I guess it's here. I did say that thing. I like opened the door. Dog got right in the car. So there we go. That's how I acquired one of my dogs.
Yeah, I genuinely do think that a lot of the stuff that Steven deals with is by necessity normal kid stuff that just has a veneer of space magic horror,
right?
slathered on top.
I think it's such a good. They do such a good job of selling that too. They have a good understanding. I don't know, to be perfectly honest, I don't know how the writer's room handles, like if they had a consultant or something like that, but I feel like they get to the heart of things and feelings and emotions and situations that kids experience around Steven's age, and they distill them so well, and they wrap them in a package that's really easy for the kids to consume without it being like meaningless. Like they wrap it in a very complex package to be able to sell it to them, so they're teaching kids lessons without moralizing to them, of giving, like, actually entertaining them, actually educating them, like letting them see themselves in characters, because I can imagine, kids see themselves in Steven. Like, Steven is a very relatable character with, like, who has real flaws and is not perfect. I mean, he's the best boy, but he's not perfect, and that's what makes him the best boy. And it's like I need to look into like what their writing process was, because I feel like they nail like the experiences of a kid very, very well. Yeah,
and I think in slathering on the space magic horror, that despite kind of like putting it in the remove of fantasy, the way that they do that just drives home the fact that a lot of these are, at least for the target audience of like English speakers in America, a lot of these are somewhat universal experiences.
Right.
So
yeah, like, so yeah, Steven Universe is just a slice of life anime, but it's like Tenchi Muyo, the slice of life anime.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a lot like Tenchi Muyo. It's not like, why did I say that? That's not a true statement. It's not even remotely like Tenchi Muyo. I'm like, because in my head, I'm like, well, there's like one kid and like one little boy, like one boy, and then like a bunch of girls. And then I remembered what Tenchi Muyo was like the second after I had that thought. And I'm like, no, what the fuck is wrong with me? God. I'm a complete fucking moron. Don't listen to me. Unsubscribe from our podcast right now. All right. Anything else about Monster Buddies?
So does that make Centipedal Ryo Oki?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
We're not going to cast the rest of this.
No, absolutely not. No.
Though I am doing it in my head. I'm just not doing it out loud.
Good.
I know you're doing the same thing.
Yeah. We'll never speak of this again.
Nope. Yahoo Anime rules about this, everybody. All right, moving on to our next episode, Indirect Kiss, the 24th episode of Steven Universe, Season 1. The official synopsis. When Amethyst cracks her gemstone, Steven and the Crystal Gems go on a mission to heal her. That's more or less right. You don't need to have the information. These are pretty good. These, even the fucking synopsises are bangers. So the episode begins with Steven being carried in on the back of Lion to the top of the temple to meet Connie for a picnic. Connie notices that there's a fence up and that Steven is also feeling very down. She asks Steven what's going on. Steven starts the story about the fence, saying that Amethyst was goofing around. And then it kind of does the flashback to that happening. Amethyst is dancing around the edge of edge of the cliff, and Steven's like, hey, Amethyst, don't, you're gonna fall, I'm so sad. And Amethyst is like, listen, Steven, I'm not gonna fall, and then immediately fucking falls. And she falls, like, square on a rock on top of her gym, like you dropping your fucking cell phone in the parking lot. Like, just cracks that motherfucker. Pearl and Amethyst come out. Pearl is very upset. Amethyst takes a look at her gym. Pearl asks what's happening. Steven immediately rats out Amethyst. And Pearl is like, we gotta do something about this. And Steven's like, and that's how the fence was built to Connie. And Connie's like, what the fuck happened to Amethyst? And he's like, oh, I don't really want to talk about it. She's like, come on, please tell me. He's like, all right, if I'll tell you, but you have to let me wear your glasses. And she's like, well, you have to give me the rest of your juice box. And he's like, well, the rest of this juice box is mostly backwash, so deal. So he puts on her glasses and continues telling the story. They talk about how Amethyst needs to get healed, but they can't really do that without Rose. Steven asks, wait, my mom can heal people? And Garnet explains that Rose had tears that could heal gems, or I think could heal things in general. And so Steven tries to cry, but he can't, declaring that he's too tough. Pearl puts him immediately on blast, talking about how he just cried about snakes slightly earlier today. And so they decide to go to Rose's fountain. It's a fountain that, I guess, overflows with the lacrimal essence of Steven's mother. They go to the fountain, but it's covered in brambles. Pearl is having a panic attack about this whole situation. They're trying to solve this while Amethyst, her gym condition has gotten worse. She's now speaking backwards. While Garnet and Pearl are trying to find a way over to the fountain, Amethyst is trying to explain to Steven, like, maybe if you get hurt, like you hurt yourself, you can cry and we can get tears that way. So Steven tries to get pricked by one of these brambles, but the brambles seemingly are alive and try to attack Steven. Amethyst saves him, but in the process, she exacerbates her crack, and her head becomes a foot, and her foot becomes a head. So Garnet punches away to the fountain. They find the fountain, which is a big statue of Rose, but it's also covered in brambles. Amethyst's situation is getting worse to where that she's all like stretched out and lanky. Steven is trying to tell Garnet and Pearl that he can help, but they're very dismissive. They're very worried about Amethyst and tired, and everything's so bad right now. So they're like, stay with Amethyst. We're going to go and try and solve this problem. Steven kind of has a heart-to-heart with the statue of Rose about, like, I wish that I knew you even a little bit, so this place could make me sad. Like, I don't know how I feel about this place because I don't know you well enough to have nostalgia or sad feelings about not having you here. Meanwhile, all the fucking bushes start attacking. Amethyst and Steven defend themselves from the bushes. They roll down into the bottom of this fountain with all the bushes crowding around at the top. Steven gets very worked up about how he's going to lose Amethyst. Amethyst tries to comfort him, and finally Steven cries, a single tear dropping onto Amethyst's gym, and then it does fuck all. But the fountain does start immediately flowing over with tears. It douses Steven and Amethyst. It overflows into the garden, basically pushing back all of the brambles, turning them into flowers. Steven's like, look, my crying activated the fountain, and Pearl and Garnet are like, well, pretty sure we did that. And then Pearl says, oh, Steven, you don't have any real magical powers, and we don't want to have anything to do with you. And Connie's like, she didn't say that. And Steven's like, no, but it felt like that. And then he basically kind of goes on about how, like, if he doesn't have any powers like his mom, he's not going to be able to hang out with the crystal gems. Connie comforts him, like, listen, even if you don't have powers, I'm still going to be here for you. They get real close. It very much seems like they're going to kiss, and then Connie gets a headache, and she realizes it's her glasses that she and Steven had traded earlier in the episode back. And it turns out that Steven doesn't have healing tears. He has healing spit. The backwash from the durian fruit juice box healed her. And he runs off to go tell the gems. Connie's like, what the fuck am I gonna do? And she, like, pops the lenses out of her glasses, puts them back on. Star wipe, the end.
Yeah. Honestly, like, the very first note I had was about Steven and Amethyst, because Amethyst teasing him about, oh, do you care about me? And Steven's like, yes. It was just a really cute moment.
It's true. It was like my second note. It was, gosh, this good boy, and then followed by mad older sibling vibes, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. Like, they have such a really cute relationship.
Yeah, it's very good. I love Amethyst. Like, listen, Steven. I love, like, I know it's not like an unforeseeable joke, but just like the crack fall, like the floor falling out from under her and her falling, being like, ah, shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, go on. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say, like, when the crack happens and everything, I do wonder why Amethyst is playing it down as like such a minor deal when she has to know it's a big fucking deal, right?
I mean, I want to talk about that later.
Okay.
When Amethyst's symptoms get worse.
Okay.
Because my answer to that question ties into a big note I have later on. So.
Okay. Well, we shall get to that later.
Spoiler alert, it has something to do with dysphoria. So.
Okay, good.
Steven immediately ratting out Amethyst, like you said, is so good. Like, not even just from a storytelling perspective, but it's so nice to see something that's like, if shit hits the fan, you need to
tell an adult.
Tell an adult, but like, because this is something where it's like in lesser shows would be considered like tattletaling.
Right. Or the entire
almost.
plot would be Amethyst convincing Steven that they don't need to tell an adult, and it becomes a whole fucking thing, right?
Yeah. And it's a non-issue, and while it's completely unrealistic to expect all adults to actually be capable of A, being trustworthy with information about somebody getting hurt, and B, like, being capable of dealing with it, it's still just so nice to see Steven continue to not hide shit like this.
Right, exactly.
Like, he's such a good boy, and he understands that it's more important to fix these things than to worry about, like, whose reputation is going to be, thrown out because of it.
Right. And, like, yeah, sure, Pearl admonishes Amethyst slightly, but then immediately moves into, like, all right, we've got to get Amethyst fixed mode, Mm-hmm. The little interludes between Connie and Steven are also adorable.
They really are, because, like, Connie not being able to see shit is just a complete mood.
Right, but also wanting to wear your friend's glasses is a complete mood, too.
I did have a question. Mm-hmm. Because, like, Connie's family is Indian, right?
I believe so. I could look it up. Give me just a moment.
Just because, like, that is so clearly durian juice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like, where did the durian juice come from?
Well, that's
is it something
Steven's juice box. So Steven's the one who got the durian fruit juice box.
I mean, yeah, but, like, did we see who set up the picnic? Was it entirely set up by Steven, or did Connie bring stuff?
No, Connie was the one who brought the picnic basket, because Steven got loped in by Lion.
Okay, yeah, so Connie's the one who could have potentially physically transported the durian, and that makes more sense then.
Yeah. Well, I think the
Just
durian
'cause-
fruit juice boxes show back up, too.
Okay. Yeah, it's just an interesting choice because definitely not that is definitely not something that most white kids would go for right off the bat. Like,
for sure.
I have
Also,
not
don't
been
know if it
brave
even
enough.
exists.
I don't know. I just know I haven't been brave enough to try durian because the smell is not something that I find appealing. So
It's not that bad.
But who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that bad. But yeah, like their interactions, super adorable.
So cute. Oh my gosh. I love Connie so much.
It's true. I love their interactions. They're so good. They like so kind of going beyond that when Garnet I have here when Garnet starts talking about like Rose and her powers and everything. I wrote down here, Laura's here, baby. quickly followed by Utena is here, baby.
Yeah. So why the fuck does Rose have a temple of herself? Just
It's not a temple, it's a big
like,
fountain.
Or why does she have a fountain of herself?
One would assume she didn't build it, somebody else built it. Looking directly at Pearl.
Okay, yeah, that is fair. The way that Pearl talked about the lacrimal essence. Wow, that was a lot.
Mm-hmm. I mean, probably the temple was built by Bismuth, who is a character we'll see way later down the line. But like, you know, it's probably built by the Crystal Gems, like Rebel Force. You know, because having a big healing fountain does seem very useful.
Yes.
So,
but that doesn't mean that it has to have like a statue of Rose in it. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just my own self-loathing talking, but if I had a healing fountain that I powered somehow, I wouldn't want to have a statue of myself in the middle of it.
I don't know if Rose would have wanted to have a statue of herself in the middle of it, so that's why I don't think that Rose built it herself. Like, so probably somebody built it, and then Rose is like, oh, thanks, I guess.
Yeah.
Man, that little Utena Rose jump forward thing from Steven's like, son of a bitch, you nerds.
Yeah. I did also find it really interesting the way that Pearl talked about the Briars as pathetic clinging things to be interesting, because I can't help but think that she was also talking about herself.
Oh, she is. Pearl is 1,000% talking about herself in that situation, and it is fucking rough. As somebody with future knowledge about how because like my note about that is literally Jesus, Pearl. I also admonished Pearl for putting me on blast about crying about snakes. I feel like in the year of our Lord 2020, after TikTok exists, where you cry about small animals on a media platform, that joke lands a lot funnier.
Yes. Yeah, that is a joke that has definitely aged very well.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like Pearl's whole panic and unease and everything like going on in this temple is definitely like her projecting like her feelings for Rose and her feelings about herself without Rose and everything like way onto herself. Like Pearl is way into her own head in the background of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
So I went ahead and I looked up all of the things that Amethyst says backwards.
Oh boy.
And basically what she's saying is like she's doing honestly a lot of like reassuring Steven that she's okay, it's going to be okay. We're talking about like, hey, there's something behind you, that sort of shit.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing earth shattering here.
Yeah, and I mean that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
varying effects of the gym cracking are also kind of horrifying.
True.
They are not as horrifying as Steven and the Stevens, but it's still a lot. Like, that's a lot of body horror for a kid's show to be offloading onto its audience.
Yeah, this would be our main source of horror. This 3 episodes of Steven and the Stevens were not in this lot.
Yes.
It's going to be very hard to beat Steven and the Stevens, though, going forward.
Yes.
Jesus, like the other thing I wrote down here is, like, these people cannot get their shit together. Like, Garnet is obviously also just as upset about this whole situation as Pearl. Like, it's real easy to see that she is just, like, not handling the whole thing well. Amethyst is desperately trying to, like, comfort the kid while the other two are having low-key panic attacks. Steven's heartbreaking talk to a statue. Holy fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like our first...
Yeah, Garnet...
Oh, go on, sorry.
Garnet punching the rock and saying, I needed that, is just, again, just... I love how upset Garnet gets when she can't resolve a situation through punch.
Or she doesn't feel in control
of
the situation, I think.
Yeah. It's such a good piece of characterization.
Yeah. And it's, like, really subtle, and you'll miss it if you're not really paying attention for it, I feel like. But, like, our first real exploration of, like, what Steven feels like in his relationship to his mom and her legacy and everything is like, wow, we're just coming out of the fucking gate swinging on this, huh?
I do want to backtrack a little because this is where I had my note about Amethyst.
Yeah, go for it.
With the way that she interacts with Steven, especially during, like, all of the rose shrubbery descending upon them, and the way that she seems to be keeping her calm. I think that it feeds back into my pet theory about, like, Amethyst being non-binary and not necessarily having the best relationship with her body. And I realized literally right now that it could also sort of be explained, like, if she has any sort of, like, chronic conditions. Like, when you're dealing with dysphoria a bunch of the time, it's really easy to write off serious shit happening with your body as just being like, I'll deal with that later. So that's why I think that, yeah, she may have known that the gym crack was a big deal, but also it's just like, it's just the gym equivalent of a meat suit. I don't really care about it that much. And, like, you know, it's shitty anyway, so, like, I'll deal with it later.
Right. That's an interesting take. And it feels like Amethyst trying to, especially, like, once they get to the actual temple or sanctum or whatever the fuck, the fountain, it certainly feels like Amethyst is, like, far less concerned about herself and more about trying to, like, hold the fucking fort down.
Yeah. I mean, her priorities, just like Pearl's and Garnet's priorities, are pretty much always around, like, Steven's safety and stuff, but, like, you know, it's just the way that she's animated. Just, she does not seem uncomfortable. She seems like she seems kind of playful almost throughout the entire episode with, like, all of the random things that are happening to her. Especially with, like, you know, she was, like, dribbling a part of her body when she had the noodly limbs.
Yeah. Like, she's obviously a little bit frustrated because she's, like, sighs real heavy when her foot and her head switch places. Also, I really love the visual gag of the foot looking over when Garnet and Pearl also look over at something.
Yes, yes, that was so good. But yeah, I don't know, like, if I weren't already building a case in my head for Amethyst being non-binary, like, I think this would at least give me pause and be like, I wonder if she has some dysphoria issues.
That's a really interesting read. I think, like, let's hold on. I think that's a good thing to hold on to especially going forward. Because I feel like we'll get some more stuff about like I would like to explore this read decidedly more, because obviously it's not one that I necessarily hold. I don't necessarily like obviously I don't have that same sort of experience.
Yeah.
You know, gender is weird, but I haven't had that sort level of dysphoria experience.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I would like to see more of that particular read as we get more like Amethyst Spotlight sort of episodes. Let's see.
I do think that it's kind of interesting that, because like with Rose's room, we had the whale kind of like not physically reaching out to Steven because it had little short stubby flippers, but you know, metaphorically reaching out to Steven.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the Rose statue reaching down for Steven.
Yeah. And now that we've seen this, that kind of actually makes me think that like there may be some part of Rose that's like still a part of her gem in Steven, like however small, that is manifesting these things rather than it having just been a one-off thing in her room.
Yeah, because I honestly forgot about this part. And hell, I forgot about the whale having Rose's voice. Like, going back through this and kind of watching it with that more critical eye has really revealed a lot more of these, like, small details. I think that's something to hold on to thinking about when we get to Lion 3 straight to video. Because I think some more of those ideas are kind of brought to the forefront on that episode. This fucking, like, the end of this episode is like, this is a fucking tearjerker is what this goddamn episode is. Like,
yeah,
such good little zoom in details of Steven being nervous and scared about his place on the team and not living up to his mom's legacy. Connie doing her best to be like, hey, listen, being a normal person is cool. Like, it's fine. You can be a normal person, my dude. Definitely about to kiss him. It was very cute.
Oh yeah.
Very, very cute. Very very fun way of playing with the title of the episode. What do you think? We'll swing back around. I love the ending shot is on Connie and not on Steven. Like, it definitely is like, hey, we're gonna do some shit here. Like, this is the start of a fucking thing, is what that feels like to me.
Yeah. I noticed that her lenses are portrayed as being kind of like pink tinted, and then she pops them out. So, like, that has some fairly like straightforward connotations about, you know, rose tinted glasses and stuff like that, which, you know, also just has like a whole double meaning with rose quartz and everything. But I thought that was very interesting about how like maybe there's going to be this attitude shift in Connie after this.
Yeah, like because like she's talking about like, it's totally fine to be a normal person, and then this happens to her, and you can kind of see her resolving like, well, maybe I'm the one. Maybe I'm taking that advice wrong. Like, maybe I can just be part of this, you know? All this magic shit keeps happening to me, too. So.
I did write down Connie saying, "What am I going to tell my optometrist? Connie, there are more important things afoot here, don't you think?"
No.
But I love what this tells us about Connie's character and what her priorities are, and honestly, like, how grounded she is in a weird sort of way, because her thought isn't about like medical miracles or anything like that. It's just an incredibly, I don't want to use the word mundane because I don't want it to sound like I'm talking down about like Connie and her life experience and where she comes from, but you know, it's very mundane. It's very just like, oh shit, like this thing has upended a major part of my life. What am I going to do about it in the day-to-day sort of sense?
Right, exactly. Like, Connie is like, holy shit, this is... realizes the knock-on effects this is going to have with every other section of her life. And then pretty much resolves to be like, I will not tell anybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So...
it's very good.
It's very, very fucking good. Once again, want to say, God, the art in this episode is so good.
It's very good.
This whole show is just beautiful fucking hell. Damn. Okay. Anything else about Indirect Kiss?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Well, that brings us...
Ow!
Little bit...
Motherfucker!
Little bit bite you again?
Yes, but like hard this time.
Why are you so bitey, little bit?
Oh no.
Put him on the microphone.
Little bit, come up here and tell the world what you think.
Why you biting August?
He's just staring at me.
Okay, so next time we're going to be hitting the midpoint of season 1. Mirror Gym, Ocean Gym, and then House Guest. We are about to get deep in the fucking lore. We're about to get goddamn knee deep in this shit. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be real fucking good. And I cannot wait. We're gonna finally meet Lapis. It's gonna be a crazy good time. So we should be in November and December. We'll be recording with a few more guests from the Crystal Them's drag show. So that's fun. By the time you're hearing this, we'll already have done this episode. But for the rest of October, August and I are playing some different games on our Monday stream. We're taking a break from BioShock because BioShock 2 almost broke me as a person. Because that game was so fucking bad. Don't play BioShock 2.
It was so bad.
So, it should be an interesting... should be a very interesting the rest of October, and then we'll be going into BioShock Infinite. Check out our other shows if you're not already listening to them. I'm on The Room Where It Happened. We're an actual play podcast. Both August and I are on Dumb Kids Playing Heroes. That's also an actual play podcast. We're rapidly approaching the end of our first season, and then we'll be taking a break for a little while until the new year. Let's see. August, what are your other things?
I am on Follow the Leader, which is also an actual play podcast. Like, we like those good tabletop role-playing games all up in here. And my partner and I think
it will be
this
out.
drops on the 14th,
Yes.
right? Yeah, so today you can also check out my partner and I talking about a Colorful Kids cartoon, except that one involves horses and less cleverly handled emotional lessons called Equestria Gaze. And you can find Equestria Gaze on Twitter because iTunes won't let you submit to the feed until after you have at least one episode on the feed. So I'll be doing that probably as you are listening to this. So
yeah, that's why we did.
Check that out.
That's why I did like a weird episode 0 for this show.
Oh yeah. I should have thought of that. Oh well.
So yeah, come join us. Should be a good time on all of our things. Check out our podcasting guild, Standing Stones. You can find us on Twitter at Stones_standing. Check out our Twitch page, Standing Stones Prod. That's where you can find August and I doing our live streams. But also we may be doing some spooky October stuff if schedules work out. Or happen at all. It will be a good time. Just come check us out. We'll all chill. We'll have some fun times. Come talk to us at our Discord. If you want to be like Shannon and ask us questions during the episodes, we put out an all call on both our Twitter and on our Discord. You can find the link to our Discord down below. We've got a great community. Come talk to us. We talk about all kinds of shit, not just Steven Universe, and hell, not just our actual plays, but we talk about media and food and science and memes, lots of memes.
So many memes.
Yeah. So, just come chill with us. We've got a great community over there. It's the thing I'm the most proud of that we've been able to get together for our various projects. So, alrighty. Well, God Jesus Christ, the weird Rebel Wilson cat appeared in the ad again on me. Fucking hell.
Well, you read, I read the sign off last week.
Okay, so that's me. All right. Well, remember everybody, be like Cookie Cat and leave your family behind. Peace.